Hello, my Romance Club lovers. Here I am with the exclusive interview. Romance Club has announced a new story, Heart of Trespia, by new writer Wincy. She is known Russian-speaking author from USA, but we will know more information about her from the interview itself. And you can also visit her Instagram, the link will be in the description. And just before the start, I advise you to subscribe to my channel for not missing news and interesting information. And of course, press like button. I will be very glad to see your reaction. Let's go. The first question is rather interesting for fans. How did you get into Romance Club team? I was actually hired by Your Story Interactive for a different project back in early 2020. I went through a rather difficult recruitment process that lasted a month. There were different steps, including a writing test. I made it as one of the 3 writers who were hired to write original English stories. The project was cancelled in 2021. I got to bring my unfinished story to Romance Club and complete it. I was very happy about that because I spent a year writing and perfecting this very story. As we know, you are the author of some stories at episode. How long have you been working on interactive stories app? Is it different now working on the story in Romance Club than in episode? I started writing in around 2017. Different story apps began to reach out to me in around 2019 because of attention my stories brought me. They are all different. Some of them didn't work out because of limited creative freedom. So, despite the high amount of payment that was offered, I turned them down and went back to episode so I could write freely. This went on for a while until I came across the recruitment ad from Your Story Interactive. We want to know you a little bit better, so can you tell us please what inspires you while writing? What do you do if the writing process stuck? My biggest inspiration is my own imagination, derived by various novels featuring martial arts, fighting, and Chinese history. I often have writer's block. It's also another reason that I have episode. I am a workaholic and I never want to stop working. So, when Heart of Trespia becomes hard to write, I take a break from writing light-hearted stories. It often helps. How long have you been writing? Since childhood? Or was it a choice when you became older? I used to write blogs in my teenagerhood, but there was a long period in my life that I was quite unproductive because of the tragic events in my life. 2017 was actually the year I resumed writing, and I never stopped for a day since then. What's your favorite writer or and book? My favorite writer is actually my friend. Her name is Cynthia Aubin. Her narrative skills are amazing and she writes both humorously and beautifully. My record was reading one of her books in a span of 24 hours. I couldn't even sleep until I finished it. What is the most difficult for you as an interactive stories writer? The process before releasing a story or the finish line when you realize that everything is going to come to an end soon? The most difficult part isn't the writing itself, but the self-doubt from negativity from the community. I was the victim of large-scale cyberbullying. It was from a time before I had 10,000 followers. The community can be harsh, and it affected my productivity. The upside is that I have developed iron skin for the mean comments now. It's like nothing can bring me down anymore. Story-wise, I think it's just tend to spend an extra long amount of time to wrap up the stories because of multiple endings and fear that it won't be satisfying to readers. That's the only time I write and erase multiple times until I'm confident that it will do the story justice. So far, I don't think I have messed up a story ending yet, and I don't intend to do so in the future. Have you read Romance Club stories before getting a job at Your Story Interactive? If so, what are your favorites? Reading Romance Club stories was one of my first tasks after getting the job. I can't exactly tell which one is my favorite, but I enjoyed all those I have finished so far. Are you in touch with your colleagues? I think it's pretty new experience for you, isn't it? Are there any difficulties because of different languages? The other writers on the Romance Club greeted me warmly. I even managed to become friends with one of them. We talk a lot. Other than that, I'm also in chat groups with many who are part of the production of my story. The language barrier doesn't seem to be much of an issue. We both use translation tools. A little time ago, you posted a picture with an image of a future main character. Was it really a prototype for the main character which we would see in the app? It was the main character I envisioned when I wrote the story pitch back in 2020. I wouldn't say it looks that much like the real main character though. This is more like the artist's own interpretation of my two-line description of my main character's appearance. Consider it a fan art. Why have you chosen to write about royal and fantasy? Was it your offer or you were told about this idea and you liked it? I have tried writing stories of many genres. Ultimately, it is my high fantasy that performs the best. I personally think that is my calling as well. Only in my fantasy worlds can I feel the vividness of every detail. My fantasy writing skills were also one of the main factors that I got hired out of 300 plus applicants. As my boss used to say, we hired you to build a world, so build one. What can you advise to read or to watch to get the atmosphere of the new story? We understand there won't be a similar one, but in general, are there any works that have inspired you? Honestly, the world I created for Heart of Trespia is heavily inspired by the other fantasy works I have done, and those works were inspired from various novels of many genres as well as TV shows and video games. It's really hard to tell. I do recommend BioWare games though. They are my favorite. Tell us something about your new story if you can. For example, if you have only 3 words to describe your story, which words are they? This is a hard one. I'd go with adventurous, empowering, and heart-wrenching. Is Wincy your real name or your pen name? Wincy is both my pen name and my unofficial English name. Do you have pets on your own? I used to have a cat. He left me 2 years ago. I keep his ashes next to my pillow. So sorry about that. Are you fond of traveling or do you prefer to stay home? As much as I love food from all over the world, I do prefer to stay home. I'm an introvert with social anxiety. Do you have any hobbies? What do you usually do besides the writing? I play a lot of games. Before I started working for Your Story Interactive, I was a competitive gamer on World of Warcraft. I played healers. You will know why I bring this detail up when you read Heart of Trespia. And to sum it up, do you have a life credo that you are following? Can you share it with us? I don't really have one, but if I am to answer this just for the sake of answering, life is one learning curve after another. Never stop moving and never let anyone hold you back either. It was my first interview and I'm really glad that Wincy answered so detailed and sincere. Thank you, Wincy. That's it guys. Subscribe, like and comment. See you next video. Bye bye.